This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. So a few things this morning I'd just like to address, and then we'll bring it up. Like I said last time at the last town hall, this meeting will be for questions and answers for all of you. There will be, I know there are going to be some questions probably concerning Chef Peters and the contract, and board member Fred Rand was part of the negotiations throughout that process, so he is here to answer any of those questions. Just give him a couple minutes. So we do have a large crowd. I do have two people that will be running around with the mics. That is Deanna. Deanna, where are you? You can please stand up. And then we will have Casey running around with the mics. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you.
Are they in the ballroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a question or anything, raise your hand. Don't forget to state your name and your lot number. Thank you. Deanna, you got the mic on? This is our town hall meeting. We're here for their monthly town hall meeting. This is a question and answer time. As I stated last month, we would open this up to questions at this town hall.
Okay, so first question. My name is Kathleen Connor, lot 1312. First question is, if the residents here, the majority of the residents voted for 2 board members, how did you remove them legally?
I'm getting the mic on. Give me 1 minute.
I'm John Chilcote, and I got good news and bad news. So the good news is we're still at Happy Trails, and this is the place where we came to meet our aspirations and our golden years, and what a wonderful place it is. Don't you think? The bad news is I volunteered to be on the board. So with that, I want to read something to you. A few owners have questioned the board's, let me just read this to you. A few owners.
Guys, we're here to question and answer. Please let the board member speak, and then you guys will have time to answer your questions. I'm sure he will get to the answer to that question. Please, let's be adults and be cordial here. Thank you.
A few owners have questioned the board's ability to bylaws. As has been previously explained, the Articles of Incorporation dated December 12th, 1984, gives the board of directors the power to adopt bylaws and change and amend the bylaws as it may from time to time deem appropriate. The articles also state that in the event of a conflict between the articles and the bylaws, these articles shall control. Thus, the association's governing documents clearly allow the board to amend the bylaws when they think it's necessary. So people have asked questions why Brad and Chuck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara. I'm with a management company. Again, we just want to reiterate, we are here for you. You have questions. Right now, I'm going to say this, I'm going to take another tone. If everyone cannot act civilly, the meeting is over. That is the reality. We are here to answer questions for you. Maybe not those who just booed. There are many people in this room who have questions and different opinions. We should respect everyone in this room because everyone here has a right to hear what is going to be said. So please just be respectful. We will be respectful of you when it is your time to speak. But those are the ground rules. And if we cannot be respectful of each other, then we cannot have a meeting. So please be respectful. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara.
As John stated, our documents allow the board to amend the bylaws. And the board made the decision to amend the bylaws to allow the majority of the board to vote a director off the board. So that, I believe, answers your question, Kathy, as to how and why it happened. Why? I will happily answer part of the why, but not all of the why. All of the why happened in executive session, and much of executive session is confidential information that we are not going to share with all of the owners. If the directors in question shared some of that information, then I will share that with everyone now. One of the things that happened was that Brad assaulted a patrol officer. And he shared that with Richard Schmunk, who then went in and told the patrol officer, do you have permission to record, Marla? You need permission from the board to record. No, I'm doing it right now, Marla. It's being recorded. Thank you, Marla. I appreciate it. So the next, Brad Mitkiff shared with Richard Schmunk the assault allegations, and Richard Schmunk went to the patrol people and threatened that if the young lady did not drop the charges, he would sue her. So that I can share because it is something that Brad shared with someone, and then there was a reaction to that action. The other thing that I can share is something about Chuck, because Chuck shared with this outside of executive session. Chuck went to Deb Schmunk and requested her help in getting questions for Chuck to secure bids for a vendor. No one on the board knew, management didn't know, and at our executive session, we were blindsided with 2 bids that Chuck had gotten with the help of Deb Schmunk. Those are the 2 things that I will share, and I will share those because both Brad and Chuck shared them outside of executive session before I am sharing them with you today. The board wishes to respect the confidentiality of what else was said in executive session. Kathy, if you would be so kind as to not record, the session is being recorded. And Marla was kind enough to not record. If you would honor that also. Why would they need to record since the meeting is already being recorded?
If I may say, my name is Marla Festinice. I'm at lot 2323. And I'm glad to see that Tamara's here because I have talked to Tamara before and I was told in a meeting with Darlene that I sent in a violation against John and Jennifer. And somehow or other, it got lost. They don't know where it went. They don't know where it went. Darlene got overwhelmed, which is fine. I know there's a lot of emails going on. But this was a pure violation from John. Did 4 on a Sunday in church with other people getting votes for you. Then Jennifer, it was you getting up in front of everybody saying, because the bylaws did not get changed the way that you had thought they would, you said, everybody remember John when you go to vote for somebody. So at that point in time, I was curious. What happened next is you guys got into executive session regarding the incorporation or the articles of incorporation, and you changed it so John could stay on the board. I still haven't received an answer. And I'd also like to know, why are you voting in executive session? If you had such transparency, why do you not discuss it like you're supposed to regarding Title 33, 1804, and any of those? You should be bringing it out to the public. You can vote in person, in public, so everybody can watch you. If you have nothing to hide, I don't understand it. And I am still waiting, because with that, I hate to say it, John would not have been able to be on the board. But unfortunately, that email got lost. Reading under our CCNRs, it stated, I didn't bring it in with me, but it stated that anybody in that situation would not be able to if they had violated the law. So I am waiting for an answer as to why. And it has, one thing I want to say, this has nothing to do with my personal feelings against any of you. This has to do with priority and watching the board, and I've been on many of them, watching the board voting in executive session, which they are not supposed to. You can discuss, but you are supposed to come out into public to do any decisions. Okay?
So Marla, yes, I do have, thank you. You did leave a call yesterday. I was in meetings. You and I will talk more in person, probably later today. Please let me finish. Let me finish because we let you talk, okay? So I would love to talk to you about that. You will get a return call. I know you called yesterday. Let me finish, please, Marla. So what I am going to say is one statement, and then we're going to move on to the next question, okay? So the statement being that today, all of us sitting here, we have different opinions and we have different perspectives, and I respect all of that. And there is a difference between perspective and opinion and the law. So there being things that are said today that are almost right, but not quite. And I do want to say that hands down, 100%, we can give you this in writing. The board does have the authority to vote on that in executive session, and there is no requirement to bring it out into open. Now, that is not opinion. What we feel is right and wrong, that is the law. And that is all that I'm quoting today to clarify. Under the Act for nonprofit corporations, for your associations, it's not for profit. And then also it is in, please, Martha, please, Martha, I'm still talking, please. I'm trying to answer your question and be respectful of you. So there are 2 major laws in Arizona that cover associations, one for condos, one for planned families. You fall under the planned families, and you can find that provision in both condo and planned communities. So again, whether you feel it's right or wrong, that's a different thing. I'm speaking to the law, and what was done was legally. Marla, after the meeting, I would be happy to chat with you.
Answers are here are for the community, not just one person. Answers are everybody knows what's going on.
Sir, when it's your turn, we'll give you the microphone. All you gotta do is raise your hand, but there's a lovely lady standing behind you who's been waiting to talk for a while. Thank you.
In Arizona, an HOA board cannot simply vote to remove one of its members. According to ARS 33-1813, board members elected by homeowners can only be removed through a formal recall process.
You-
That means that we as homeowners can do a recall. That means if they pass away, or that means they quit, period.
So. Okay, here's Ken. So what was just read was not the law, but somebody talking about the law. Right, yes? Please stop. That was not a direct quote from the law. Okay, so I am not an attorney. I'm not going to pretend I'm an attorney. I go through lots of legal training. I'm not an attorney. So I'm not going to continue to argue the statute. You can all Google it. What the board can consider is if we can get some information to send out that talks about the legal process. You are correct. There is also a provision that allows for a recall. So that is one way. So I'm again not going to speak to the law. Just remember that there's a lot of opinions and there's difference between opinion and law. Thank you.
Okay. Brett Bonner, 1670. First of all, thank you for being here. Emails from Homeco, I guess, keep referencing a small group of people, but I don't see a small group of people that are unhappy. Now, let me finish, please. I have not asked a question yet. We're here to talk to the board. I don't want to talk to you. You are not representing us. We hire you, which is fine. We can, that if we want to do that, but we want to talk to the board and hear from the board. And I wish you would please let the board speak. Thank you.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to hear me one more time, and that is to say that when I am speaking, it's at request of the board. So there are certain things that I have expertise in. I'm only trying to speak to those. I'd like you to speak to the board as well. You did mention Homeco, so I'm going to touch on that, and I'm happy to put my microphone down, trust me. Homeco is not, those messages are not coming from Homeco. Those messages are coming from your board, and we are the ones that are tasked with sending them. And I can let the board speak to that more, but those are not messages that Homeco is coming up with on their own in a bubble. And the board can speak to that in addition to what I had to say.
Hi, my name is Janice Raridan, lot 226.
What was the question? If you could repeat it.
Voted for three people who have been removed from the board. They won the majority. They won the election. So how come? And I'm really curious. How come you keep referring it as a small group of basically troublemakers? Thank you.
I will answer that question. The board and management receive emails from a very small group of people over and over. So that is where the small group of people is coming from.
Hi, I'm Janice from lot 226. We're one of the original 50 owners. We picked the lot in November of '84 before it was even like Happy Trails, bulldozers and dirt. I've served on board of directors in a lot of places, and because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. The fact that the board took upon itself to make the rules so that they have more authority than this group grants is a problem. Just because the law says, because the law and the documents say that you can change the bylaws does not mean you should change the bylaws so that you have more authority than the voters and the owners of the property. Each of you has exactly the same vote I have. You have a higher fiduciary duty than I have as an owner because you're the informed group. You're supposed to have the most information to conduct business on our behalf. I think that when it comes to the disciplinary, which is what you're talking about, disciplinary action of the board, I understand that I had no knowledge, so I'm just hearing for the first time what the problem is. But when you violate the trust of the group by making executive session decisions, which that's where discipline happens, it still needs to be announced and discussed in open session so that all of us can understand why our vote doesn't matter. You absolutely have the authority to do that according to the documents, but as I said, just because you can do something doesn't mean you really should.
First of all, this action was just taken. We have, this action, removal of 2 people from the board was just happened. We are putting information out about why it happened. People violated the code of conduct, and that's why it happened.
Becca, can I speak to this? So this is John Chilcote. The board's in a, being on the board is an awkward thing. So when I signed up, why did I sign up? When I signed up to be on the board and volunteered to be on the board, I took on fiduciary responsibilities. And those fiduciary responsibilities basically fall in 4 areas. So the areas that I'm talking about here are duty of care, so that all the decisions that I make personally have got to be reasoned and based on facts, and I have to apply discernment. I can't just shoot from the hip. So these decisions have been pondered over months, people. We've been pondering about this over months. Loyalty. The second is that I have to be loyal to this community. I have to do what's best for you, not what's best for me or what's best for a small bunch of people, but what's best for you. The third thing is I have to be obedient and act in good faith. The fourth thing, though, is what we're talking about today. The fourth thing about the code of conduct that I sign and my fiduciary responsibility is confidentiality. Things that happen at the executive sessions are confidential. There's information there that is discussed about various items, personal items, and when we make a decision there based on those discussions, we cannot talk about those discussions. We cannot take material out of an executive session, share it with anybody else, give them notes, give them information. I can't do that. So I can't tell you all the reasons right today, because here's the thing. I become personally liable. If I do something like that knowingly, I come out from under the umbrella of the D&O insurance that covers the board, and I become personally liable. So if I talk about things that happen in session, in a private session, executive session, I can be personally liable. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to destroy my family and So we can't tell you a lot of the information right now because it was discussed in an executive session. We just tried to do what's best for the community, act in good faith, and be loyal to Happy Trails. We want Happy Trails to be here 5 years from now. I tell you, the way it's going, we may not be here. And that's pretty sad. So.
Okay, let me just expand on that since Becca mentioned the code of conduct and John mentioned confidentiality. The board of directors signed a code of conduct. It has several points on it. But it does say, I want to read the last 2 lines of it because I think these are important. The board of directors may seek injunctive relief against any board member who violates this code of conduct. The member in violation agrees to pay the attorney's fees incurred by the board in that enforcement effort. And every director signs that code of conduct. So, also not executive session because this happened in emails. The board gave Brad the opportunity to resign. Brad sent an email that on the advice of his attorney, he was not going to resign. And if the board brought action, he would sue individual members of the board, the Happy Trails Community Association, HomeCo, and the association's attorney. So think of the amount of money that would be spent. Think of the amount of money that would be spent. And per this, that Brad Mitkiff would be responsible for paying that amount of money.
Okay, Lisa.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Day at 1317, and I seem to be, as Brett so eloquently stated, one of those people in the small group. And I'm sorry I can't stand, but I have a sore leg right now. So at a scheduled meeting that I had with Darlene last week, I asked for a breakdown of the legal expenses that she and the board published on Front Steps that were supposedly incurred by me. She couldn't give me an answer then, but this morning she responded, and I'm going to quote, "The association does not provide legal bills as they are protected by the attorney-client privilege." Excuse me. We'll talk about that in a second. Additionally, I'm concerned about my personal safety here at Happy Trails. My concern is due to decisions and directives from Darlene and the board, and I want to give you a short history. Last year, a male member of this community aggressively approached me after a meeting in the PAC, and I filed a harassment complaint against that person. The board sent a letter to this resident stating that he was to stay away from me or face a fine in the future. Again, last year, on a totally different subject, I sent a personal email to Darlene. A few weeks ago, Darlene shared that email without my consent and sent it to the spouse of the same resident that harassed me. Now, full disclosure, 9 days ago, a process server came to my door in the dark of the night, and I found out that these same residents that I just mentioned filed a lawsuit against me in Superior Court for defamation. We should all be on notice that this board and management do not seem to have our best interest at heart. I do not know how we remedy these issues, but we should all be aware and cautious when dealing with management and the board. I currently sit on the finance committee, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get kicked off for making these statements. But I got to tell you, we should all be careful, all be aware, and cover our backsides right now. Thank you.
My name is Dave Bednary. I live at lot 2353, and I want to sort of flip a switch and go a different direction on an issue that concerns me. And I got to tell you, I don't speak for everybody here, but I think a lot of our lives are being eroded and ripped away by board decisions that are being made without consulting with us, without caring about what we think or what we feel. And let me reference the Chef Peter situation. So that thing came down and we were sent out an email, and this is pretty much like most of the emails that come from the board last year that I've seen, is they give you no information. They're not telling you anything. The only thing that they said was there was a mutual understanding. Is that sort of a veiled lie in disguise? Because there's a lot that went on, I'm sure, and we heard, and this is, I don't know if this is factual or not. The rent started at $1,000, and then it was raised to $2,500, and then it was raised to $5,500 that he was supposed to pay during the summer when many snowbirds have gone home. Restaurants around, surprise, don't do as much business during the summer for the very same reason. How is a person supposed to make a living under those kind of conditions? When we have a restaurant and a bar such as Chef Peter's here, it's not just a place to eat close to where we live. It kind of serves as a living room of the neighborhood. They offer specialized programming like music bingo, karaoke, club breakfast meetings such as the Liars Club meetings, Christian Fellowship men's breakfast. These venues provide significant physical, cognitive, and social benefits for us all. It's also a neutral ground where we build friendships with people outside of our homes. We create an environment where people can interact and share their lives and past experiences with one another. So I've seen some people say, well, I didn't like the food, the Chef Peter, or it cost too much. Take a look at the community, what it costs you for things. Some of us thought things were working pretty well under Chef Peter, and his absence leaves a huge void to be filled. Many of us are disappointed and discouraged that our board leadership and management here could not hold this together for everyone's benefit. Now, Chef Peter has made known that he will come back here and work this restaurant again if he's asked to, but he wants a fair contract and fair agreement. And the question that I have is, number one, are you going to consider perhaps bringing him back, or if not, what is your alternative plan? And number two, tell me about these emails that always go out to the community where you don't tell us a damn thing about what's going on. And you think that's responsible?
Can I answer some of your questions?
Yes.
Okay, I've been involved with every one of the contract negotiations with Chef Peters. I know Chef Peters real well. But to start with, it was $1,000. And then it went to 25. Chef Peters and I sat down and agreed through this summer, it would be $2,735 through the prime season, okay? Plus, he would pay us 1% of the gross sales over $100,000, all right? So he never lived up to the agreement. He never brought us a statement of his gross sales. He paid the cheaper rent, which we had no problem. But you have to understand, we spent $106,000 redoing the restaurant, all right? Then we spent almost $40,000 for new appliances. So, and the utility bill is $2,200 a month. I am not here, and I talked to him to make a profit on him. We need to break even, and we need to make sure we get our return on our investment. I work for Happy Trails. I don't work for Chef Peters. I don't work for individuals that like him and care about him. I tried to make the best judgment I could. Okay, so we went from that $3,700 a month to $55. And the reason we went is because we dropped the 1% because he could not live up to the contract. So we went to $5,500. He agreed it. He signed the contract. But here's the other problem. We do have some people in the community who likes to keep us all informed on what's going on and what's happening and what we're doing wrong. Okay. They never say what we're doing right, but what we're doing wrong. So when Chef Peters did not live up to what he said he would do, and there was a problem with collecting our monthly rent, okay? I'm not going to go in detail because I sure don't want anybody suing me for saying something I didn't. The other thing is, he says he doesn't care even if the rent was dropped down, which I had agreed to lower it with him, but he said, that's not going to help me. When I only get 10 to 15% participation from the community, I can't keep my employees working and paying them. He said you guys never participated in helping him stay alive and work. So that's why you start cutting the hours back. He wasn't there. You would go at times, the place is closed. He said, I can't keep doing that. He said, so if the community's not going to support me, is there somebody here that wants to give him a monthly stipend to help him stay in business? I tried to do what was best for the community. I have no personal gain in it. I have no reason why I did except for Happy Trails. That's the only reason I did what I did. And then finally, when we have a few people in the community that sends us a lot of emails, says he's not compliant, he doesn't have a restaurant license, he doesn't have a health department license, he doesn't have a liquor license, and it's not once in a while, it's all the time. So I sat down with him and told him, I said, Chef Peters, so the emails will stop to me, and we're not allowing you to run a restaurant and you don't have the license. Oh, Fred, this was 4 weeks ago. Fred, I'll get those. I'll check with my girl. Playing like he didn't know what was going on. He is the owner. I know when I owned my businesses, I knew what was going on. So that was 4 weeks ago, and he said, I'll get back with you either this Friday or Monday. Did he show up? No. Did he tell me he had current license? No. It's been 4 weeks. You think we can allow him to run a restaurant here that he has not got the proper documents to do? You know who gets in trouble? You do, for allowing him to continue on and do what he wants to do. I'm just looking out for you guys. And there's a lot more to it than what I'm telling you right now. So I'm here to take care of you.
Thank you, Fred. I have a very quick question relative to what Fred said. By show of hands, how many people ate at Chef Peters once a week? How many people ate at Chef Peters 2 times or more a week? How many people go over to Traditions and take advantage of their daily specials? Thank you.
We are trying to find and collect some good ideas that is good for the community, that will still give us the variety and still give us a decent cost. But the problem of it is, it's not an easy job being a board member. I know I get paid a lot, but I want you to know I try to do what's best for you, everybody in this room. It is not for me or personal gain or anything. So we are working on it. We don't have any fast remedies.
Can I answer a little bit of that? We put together a survey. It's not been sent out yet, but we have a facility here that has a lot of equipment in it. For instance, if you look at the reserve study for our chuck wagon equipment, $418,000 of equipment needs to be replaced this year on the reserve study. Now, when we look at it, some of that can be used for another few years maybe. But the point here is it's an expensive operation to maintain and continue to maintain a restaurant and rent it out to somebody. So the person that you rent it out to, the company you rent it out to, has to make money. They've got to make a living. Quite honestly, our community did not support Chuck Peters enough for him to make a living and be able to pay any income towards the care and maintenance of the equipment that we have. So we're in this dilemma. We could invite him back. Would you be willing to pay an assessment for like $200 a month for food or $50 a month for food? Because we have been subsidizing his business. We have been subsidizing his business, $106,000 of improvement to the rooms, and we've got to maintain this equipment, $418,000 potentially coming out our reserves, and our reserves are only 50%, so we only have $200,000 set aside for $418,000 of cost. So there's a lot goes into this. Now, what about the future? We could have a single service, full service like we have now, like we have with him, and that would be good. Or we could have rotating daily services, kind of like they may have over at Traditions. We could have self-service cafeteria. We could have specialty shops. We could have pizza and ice cream and hamburger grill. We could have daily takeout or delivery services, monthly meal plan subscription. We could go to like an assisted living place where you have a meal plan. You come in and sit down and pay a fixed amount. There's lots of opportunities here, but the bottom line is that plant and equipment costs money, and it costs money to maintain. The utilities are expensive, and to replace those retiring, we're all getting older, so is that equipment. It's got to be replaced. And if we continue to subsidize businesses to the point that it's painful, is that what we want to do as a community? Is that what you want your board to do?
Hold on, sir.
So I think a lot of the emails coming out of the board don't make any sense, and they don't answer questions, and they kind of cover things up. And lately it's been written by a lady by the name of Snarky McNasty, at least that's what I call her, who's just dredging everybody through the mud and just sickening things that have been written. Why? Why?
I want to go back to a comment that you made a bit earlier, Dave, for clarity. I did not think that the Liars Club was still meeting in the Chuck Wagon. I thought they were meeting at NC2 because they couldn't meet in the Chuck Wagon anymore. Is that correct? So the Chuck Wagon, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because you said that the Chuck Wagon was a gathering place and the Liars Club met there. Okay.
I think it's time to move on. I just wanted to say a few things. Christine Curry, 428. I'm a new resident. I just purchased last year, and I heard a little bit about what was going on with some financial issues and so forth. I want to thank the board. First of all, I know it's a thankless job, no matter what level you're at or where you are. I don't know a lot of the background. I just know that I had heard through the grapevine that there was some issues going on with the finances and about that annuity situation that came up. And I asked a friend of mine who I just met here, and she's been a financial advisor. So she looked into it and found that, she got the transparency with the checks being returned and so forth. And I think that's great. But for everybody else, it's like, why don't we just put all the cards on the table? Because I think that's where a lot of this mistrust of the board is coming from. Initially are those annuities that were purchased because it wasn't a legal situation. But so they've been purchased, the money's gone back, and they have all the tracking and everything. But why not just put all the cards on the table and have a copy of the policy available for everybody to see so that there's no questions anymore, that there's nothing to hide? And I think that's the most important thing, is the transparency. And I think that's what a lot of people are saying, just from what I can see, is that everybody needs to be more transparent. And if you would just put the cards on the table and let people know that this is why things are happening, that would be helpful.
One thing I'd like to say, I don't know if you guys know, I'm the treasurer of the board. I watch your money as it's my own. I'm not going to squander it. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to invest it so you have returns. Happy Trails has to survive. And if we have no money and we got lawsuits and everything, we won't be here. So I am trying very hard to keep everything intact in the right possible way.
Terry Bader, lot 953, 954, and 1373. I'd like to ask the board, when that information came out about, there was a list of folks and there was a $111,000 invoice from, or what we had spent on legal fees. And there were names in there, which was, Chuck was in there and Brad were in there. Didn't you feel to get the information out to us, like what that was extremely about pertaining to each individual person, instead of just lumping a $111,000 bill and disseminating those people's names? I know personally, if that came out in a, however it came out, because like I said, we saw it on Facebook, I'd be the first one to sue you. So I'd like to know how that information got out there with not a complete explanation of what it was all about before it was disseminated to the people.
But Terry, just to answer you, we didn't put it on Facebook. It has to be somebody in the community.
Excuse me? Can I speak as an owner? I'm Andrea Holmgren, lot 161, and we've been an owner here for the last 5 years. When I bought into this community, we had volunteers running the chuck wagon. They were great, but those days are gone. I'm volunteering wherever I can in the community, and that's a thankless job in there. And having that amenity to be able to come up and have a beverage or have some food at the end of the day is an amenity I want in my community. What is the pools costing? You say all this about, well, we can have a little coffee stand and all that. That's not meeting my amenity list, and it's not increasing the value of my property here in any way. Whereas the chuck wagon, even if every member in here didn't go, we're still getting people coming in there. There's a lot of traffic coming in there, and that is bringing homeowners and our value up. It is, though. Okay, that's fine. We can debate it. But for me personally, and what I'm looking for in a resort is I want to have a restaurant. I want to have the ability to go to, and I think that they did a good job for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I don't see where volunteers are going to be able to commit to that or get it any cheaper. Go out to the grocery, go out to a restaurant outside the community. That's all I'm saying is I wish that my wishes would have been, I would have had the opportunity to vote on that. All right.
We're trying to stick it to one question per person. There's a lot of people in here with a lot of questions. So I know there's some folks with some secondary questions. Let's get through the folks that have not asked first, and then we'll come around again. Thank you.
Do I have the mic? Okay. The only thing I want to clarify, Steve Funk at lot 1600 The deal with Chef Peters, I really appreciate, Fred, what you've done with Chef Peters. As a restaurateur, I can guarantee you there isn't a restaurateur that can make a living in this place. It just cannot happen. I was not a proponent for Chef Peter. I supported him once he was put in here because the only way it could work was a volunteer system, and we couldn't get enough volunteers from this community to do it. Becky Wells was working 50 hours a week trying to get volunteers. I'm sorry, but we didn't get the volunteers we needed. It couldn't work. Chef Peters can't work because he can't make a living. This board, there is no good reason whatsoever for this board to chase Chef Peters out. There's nothing in it for the board. Those people that think it was the board, you're off base. There was nothing in it for the board. There's no benefit to them to lose Chef Peter. He could not make a living. You people did not support him enough. There's not enough business from outside. He has a base of 4,000 people to make enough profit to make a living. You could not charge him rent. You could not charge him anything. He still would not make a living. I know that, guaranteed. So you need to figure out a different use for the chuck wagon. And I really thank the board for trying as hard as you could to get Chef Peters to be successful. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Karen Stewart. I think there's another Karen Stewart around here, or was at least. So I'm at 1060 near the Walgreens gate. I'm the financial planner that Christine referred to. And I was given free access to documents by the board. And I was grateful because I had heard about this annuity last year. And as a financial planner, I was also an insurance agent. I knew that that investment was totally inappropriate. But anyway, I can appreciate why people were suspicious because the annuitant for the annuity, by the way, every annuity must have an annuitant or it's not an annuity, was a man named Blaine, whose wife, I guess, is Roberta, and she was on the board. Wow, that was very suspicious. Anyway, I got the documents, and I was so happy this year to learn when I got back that the one annuity was for 3 years and it was scheduled to mature in September, which was allowed to happen. 500,000 was invested in each one for a total of $1 million. The 500,000 was given, got us about $61,000 worth of interest, which was about 3.99%. The other one was for 5 years, and it was prematurely liquidated by the board. I'm really happy they did that. After a premature withdrawal penalty, we got about $28,000 profit of interest, plus the $500,000 on that one. So when I was here last year, that, by the way, was about $89,000 that we got, and it was about 3% interest. But at the time this was done in 22, interest in a bank would have paid between 0.75% and about 1.5%. So the people on the finance committee probably said, hey, 4% would be far better than less than 2. So, practically about 1.5. So anyway, one part I did not know at that time, and I said I suspect that, oh, by the way, there are 3 parts of an annuity. There's an owner, and I have copies of the checks. There were 3 checks. The owner of the annuities was the homeowners association here. That's totally good for us. The second part was who was the beneficiary, also us. Who is the annuitant? Mr. Blaine. I can't remember his last name. Okay, so I did not know whether or not somebody had said they thought that Rebecca, who was on the board, was the beneficiary. And today I have the data that shows.
I'm sorry, we're going
the
to.
beneficiary was.
Excuse me. I understand what you're saying. We did talk about this 2 or 3 town halls ago, but we
Yeah.
need to cut you off because we have a 2-minute limit and we've got
Okay.
other people.
All I'm glad
Sorry.
to tell you is that Rebecca was not the beneficiary. And I hope this puts this thing to bed. It was a bad investment and it's all unwound, thank God.
Is it my turn? My turn. Sandy Green, lot 1607. I have a question for each of the board members, not you, Jennifer. First, Cliff, I keep hearing rumors over and over again that Jennifer is dictating this board and making these decisions. I want to hear from each of the board members. Do you feel pressured? Do you feel intimidated? Is she bending your wrists, putting a gun to your head? I want to know, is this board unified? Is she doing this stuff? I keep hearing it, and I'm on a committee. I don't do a lot with her, just landscape stuff. I want to hear from each of you. Are you feeling pressured to make decisions in her favor?
I will speak to that first. No, I am not pressured one bit. We have a completely united board right now. We all think alike. We're all acting on behalf of Happy Trails, and there's no pressure from anyone on the board right now.
Do you believe that?
This is John Chilcote. I appreciate Jennifer's leadership. She's very wise, but she asks our opinions, and we are individuals, all four of us, and we speak our minds and we make our own decisions based on our own good judgment.
I'm Becca Paulson. I just got on the board again, but I can say in the month and a half that I've been on the board, it has been wide open discussions. Everybody is able to say their opinion, and then we come to an agreement. And I can say that the five of us are all working as a team and do work to find a solution that we all can agree to.
I'm Fred Rand. I have one person in my life that tells me what to do, and that's Jesus Christ, my
Amen.
Savior. That is my leader, and that is where my strength comes from.
My name is Dave Abraham, lot 433. Everyone calls me Bear. I have served on nonprofit boards before, and I thank the board members for doing it. It's a hell of a job. No, there's no graciousness for that. Thank you. Someone needs to do it. We appreciate you doing it. And all the boards I've been in, I've never had a group like this. So I applaud you on the enthusiasm you're getting out of the community. Unfortunately, it may not be positive feelings. And my question is, how do you feel about everyone being so upset with you? Do you feel that the way you're conducting business is the way you're going to continue to conduct business? Or do you feel more openness and transparency might be a better way to conduct your affairs?
Hi, Jody Ellis, lot 745. Sorry. Go ahead.
I will answer Bear's question, and we will take your question, and then we're going to adjourn. Did everyone read the announcement? This is a 1-hour meeting, and we are hitting 1 hour. Bear, I believe that transparency is key. I believe that we have been transparent in many instances, and when we are transparent, the people then don't want transparency. It's kind of a two-way street. I would like to say that moving forward with a board that is operating as a team, you will know all of the decisions that we make. May not know all of the details because many of those details are privileged information in executive session. But immediately after our executive session, there was a blast that told you exactly the decisions that were made. We have explained today that part of the why is confidential. Bear, I thank you. And one more question, Deanna.
Thanks, Rob. All right, Jody Ellis, again, 745. We've been to a lot of meetings where the same people got up and said the same things over and over and over. Read like they were speaking for everybody else that lives here. I never felt like that was part of, listening to, I know what's in the bylaws and that, but I don't need another resident to stand up and say it every single time over and over, like they're speaking for me. I'll just leave it for me. So I appreciate, I know everybody was saying, we need more emails. We need more information. Well, the minute we start getting more emails, then I hear it's always at the bottom. I have to read the whole thing to get to it. Well, yeah, we have to do one or the other. And I appreciated that list of names, I want to say, because I know there've been some troublemakers in our happy trails. And they're ruining our happiness, and I don't like it. So if they have a problem, we're not making them have fun. Stay at home. Don't have fun. We don't care, but don't ruin ours.
Okay, it is 11:30. Unfortunately, we do have to close at the meeting. We have another meeting to go to. Terry Bader's question was not answered. Okay, hold on, please. Hold on. Terry, I did.
It was in reference to how that list of people came out with no explanation and that $110,000 bill from our lawyers. It just showed up and there was no information whatsoever on that $110,000 we spent on legal fees with those people's names addressed to it.
Okay, can have an answer for him and then we'll close off the meeting at that.
I'm sorry. The question is, if you could, that it was irresponsible to let the people know the breakdown. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Let me answer that question. There has been huge conversation about our legal fees this year, and the board has been acutely aware of the amount of money being spent. We thought that it was important to let everyone know. We've had conversation today, if you will, that they want to know what's going on. And so we took our invoices and we did a summary of the invoices, and that is what was sent out in the e-blast. We cannot go with further explanation as to this much money for this person, this much money for this person, because that is attorney-client privilege with respect to the invoices. You can do a summary, you can say this is what it is, but you cannot do specifics. Why would there be repercussion from sharing the amount of money spent on different categories? I didn't.
Okay, thank you for all coming today. I'm sorry, we are going to have to adjourn. We do have another meeting.